Jelani, is this the episode where we're gonna call Evan the most racist?
Maybe because
you're pretty teed up for it. I mean, there's no good white characters in this movie. They're all pretty bad.
Okay,
I mean, Mary's part white, which she's not bad exactly. She's turned evil, but she's not evil initially.
Welcome to the Interior Analysis. I'm your host for this episode, Jelani T. Kelly.
I'm Evan Westman.
And I'm Angel Michelli.
And today, our episode is on the 2025 hit movie Sinners. Written and directed by Ryan Coogler. Starring Michael B. Jordan, Haley Steinfeld, Wunmi Masaku, Miles Catton, Omar Benson Miller, Jamie Lawson, Jack O'Connell, and Delroy Lindo, along with several others I have not mentioned. It had a $90 million budget and grossed $360 million globally. The numbers were like all over the place, but I kept seeing upwards of 300 million. And I checked it was a site called The Numbers. That site said 368 million. So
I think some of that's because like some of the ambiguity might be because of re-releases. Because I think they had one like a month ago, and I think they might be doing another one soon too.
Good.
That's crazy. That wouldn't surprise me though. I feel like re-releases are big now.
Mm-hmm. Especially with like Oscar buzz movies, they tend to do that with.
Oh hell yeah!
I mean, we don't have nominations out yet, but I'm pretty sure they should be coming soon. They always come around this time of year.
Oh no, it won a bunch. I thought.
No, that was Golden Globes.
Golden Globe.
Oh, you meant like Oscar? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you just meant like awards in general, because they say no, like just one this week.
Yeah, if it gets enough, that can send stuff back to theaters. I know they've done that before.
So, with that number being said, it is one of the top 10 highest earning horror films of all time at number 5. 5 of all time horror films. That's insane. The only ones above it are It at number 1, Conjuring the Last Rites at number 2, and number 3 is It Chapter 2, and then number 4 is The Exorcist. So it was released April 18th of 2025. This is my third time seeing this movie. I originally was just going to have it on and just like play a game because I saw it for the second time like a month or two ago. So I was like, I already know what happened. I don't know if I need to be as engaged, but I turned the game off pretty fast because it's that engaging to me as a movie. I was just like, I kind of just want to watch it again. I originally wasn't going to see this in theaters, but it was the week of my brother's birthday and he wanted to see it, and oh boy, am I glad we did. I wish I would have gone back to see it in IMAX though, because I never noticed the aspect ratio shift until my second watch with my dad and brother. And I'll speak a little bit more about that later, briefly, that the shift. I heard that, I think it was a Dead Meat Channel's Kill Count, shout out to them. I think I heard it from them that Coogler finished the script in a month, which is insane.
Damn.
That's crazy.
That's fast even for a first draft.
Yeah, I can't imagine writing something that quickly unless you're doing it unless you already know every little bit of it. Like you have it fully outlined beat by beat and you're just writing it down.
Yeah. And a couple of other things before we dive in, I wanted to mention like a side note that Coogler himself has stated in an interview that Remick was not intended to be a culture vampire. He's seen several times in the movie. He has his own Irish culture, so that's not like a metaphor or anything else. There's no second meaning there, specifically in that way. And I put Superman up there with this movie for 2025. So between these two for my favorite, and the deciding factor really just depends on what mood I'm in, but it's no contest with me with movies, other movies released last year. Like these are far and away my favorite of last year. I'm supposed to say this year, but Our horror cycles tend to go way past when we
last year we were really good. We did all three in October. We were tight last year. The year before that we were also like super spread out.
We're gonna get better at this, guys. We're gonna do it better.
Well, but also we kind of get to double with this as like our award season episode too. So
that's a good point.
Like, it kind of works out.
I'm gonna put this down now.
Okay.
It's fake, guys. I don't
smoking is bad for you.
Not sponsored, but yes.
That's all my initial stuff. What are your initial stuff?
Yeah, I got stuff. I'm with you on this movie being like super engaging. I am so very sad that I didn't get to see this in the theater. I waited until it was on HBO Max because I didn't have anyone to go see it with, like anybody in my vicinity that wanted to go see it. So I'm like, all right, I'll just wait. Like, I've heard it's good, but I'll just wait. And that was a horrible idea. This movie is so good. Just for the sound alone, you need to be seeing this in IMAX. Like, as soon as I know about a re-release and I'm actually free, I'm going to go see it in the theater because it's just that good. Like, the aspect ratio changes are something like I always notice in movies now, having watched a lot of Christopher Nolan stuff and watching the Dark Knight trilogy like over and over again. And there's a couple in this at the beginning that are a little jarring, but after a certain point, the only one you notice is that big one during the barn fight scene. And I remember watching it the first time like a few months ago and literally like audibly gasping at how cool it was. I literally rewound the movie so I could watch it again like 3 times. It was so great. And just like the designs here, like the opening animation feels like super classic. I love how it hints at a lot of the movie, kind of like Midsummer's did. The flashes at the beginning of the movie while he's in the church, like the flashes to the later parts during the final battle, hit way harder having seen the movie already. There's little details you start to notice, like Sammy didn't enter the church until he was invited. So like as you learn more about the vampire lore and the parts that they're using, you start to question like, wait, is he going to get turned? Is that what's going to happen? And then like, is he going to kill his dad? Obviously we know, spoilers, that like that doesn't happen, but it's really interesting to see those little clues kind of hinted throughout, because I think subconsciously we get more and more nervous that like no one is going to make it because people just start dropping like flies. They join the vampire group or whatever, and then all of a sudden we're down to like 6 people within like maybe like 20 minutes. Because also what's really cool is it's kind of like From Dusk Till Dawn, where the vampire stuff doesn't happen until the second half of the movie. And even then, it's like maybe the second half of the movie. Like, it's more like the last third, because we start to get hints of it, but I think it takes like 45 minutes or an hour before even Remick shows up. And then
I was clocking it this time. I paused like at the exact moment like the first vampire of any kind shows up. I think it's like 45 minutes, at least 40.
Yeah, it's something crazy like that. And that the confidence to do that is something that I think more and more movies are doing, but it's still great to see every time. Because what you want from a movie like this especially is to build up the world, the themes, and the characters before you get into all the crazy stuff. Because if you start with like just an opening scene of all the horror and just that, it could just turn into a typical horror movie. But this doesn't do that. This takes the time to build up all the themes and the characters and their relationships before anything else. And then it just shows how those things relate to the horror they're about to face. And I think that's really cool. Yeah, like I said, the music is great. Every scene had me like going back and listening to it at least twice just to like look at all the details and like hear the music again. I have a bunch of the music on my Spotify. Like, it's just really, really good. It shows a lot about the characters. The fact that they got the I lied to you scene to work is crazy, because a lot of people complained about it, but I thought every beat of it made sense. And once you learn more and more about Sammy's powers and like why everybody's there, it just adds to the whole thing. I really liked it. But anyway, I'm talking a lot, so I think it's Evan's turn to go.
Yeah, I did manage to see this in theaters. I had to like go into like internet blackout mode for like that weekend because I'd had this on my radar and like on a watch list for, I don't know, probably a year before, or several months at least. And it's one of those things where I was like, okay, Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan, that's all I need. I'm not going to watch any trailers. I think I saw one trailer at like some other movie I went to in the preceding months, and that was it. I didn't know, like, I tried to make sure to not know anything. And then I saw
People
just a
spoiled it
little
for me.
bit.
Trailers, bro. I didn't know it was going to be about vampires, but everybody in the comments of the YouTube trailer was just like, "Oh, so it's going to be about vampires, vampires." I was like, I didn't even know that. I didn't know that's where this is going. Thanks, guys. Anyway,
I don't
sorry.
remember how I learned it, honestly, but like it's not obvious from the trailers at all.
No,
I didn't remember it even being necessarily horror themed from the trailer. I think the only image that stuck with me was Michael B. Jordan with his head against the door as I mean, you find out it's Stack, but that was like the only image that stuck with me at all from the trailer till like as I was sitting in the theater waiting for it. But I like couldn't go the first weekend, so I was just trying to be like, okay, let me like block out everything so that I see nothing if I can, and I managed to be successful with that and go the Monday after it came out. And yeah, not my number one favorite of the year. I think it's my number 3. But I feel pretty safe calling this the best movie of the year. Yeah. I haven't seen all the stuff from this year, but like for the moment, nothing really comes close. Like our next episode, we'll talk about Wake Up Dead Man, which I personally really loved, but like I want this to win as many awards as it can. Who knows what it'll take home, but I think it deserves it. And rewatching it, I remember being in the theater for the first like hour or so being like, okay, like this is the thing everyone's going crazy about. Like it's not bad, but I'm not really seeing it. And then the second half like kind of made me see it. And then rewatching the first half, I was so much more engaged. Like, and part of it is just because I had like heard a lot of people talk about it in the months in between. And you can just feel so much like extra stuff that Ryan Coogler's putting into like I think now I like the first half better on rewatch.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't notice till I watched the kill count on it. Did you notice that the street was segregated?
Yeah, I noticed, but I think I only did on rewatch, or maybe that scene like kind of just left my brain by the end of the movie because there was so much else.
Did not register that.
I heard that in a heavy spoilers breakdown I was listening to today, where he was saying like, yeah, the street is segregated, and I'm sure like if you watch it, you'll notice it. But I think I was just paying attention to the characters more so I just didn't see it necessarily. But that's why this is so good to rewatch. Like you notice all these details that you wouldn't have noticed before.
Yeah, it's in that it reminds me of the Shaun of the Dead long take because it's kind of a similar thing of like somebody walking across the street and back.
Oh yeah.
With I can't remember the character's name. It's the little girl who only shows up for that scene, I think.
Oh,
is
wait.
it Lisa? I
Lisa,
know they name her.
Lisa.
Is
I think
it?
it's Lisa.
Grace is the mom. It's Lisa.
Yeah.
Yeah? It's Lisa?
Because
Okay,
she
yeah.
like walks across the street to get Grace and bring her back. I think part of why you don't really notice necessarily the first time is like nobody else is really in focus in that shot. And I think there's like some like 2 or 3 throwaway lines from like off-screen white characters just kind of giving some indication. I forget what they say, but it like gives you an indication of like, yep, this is the white side of the street and the other side is the people of color side of the street.
Yeah, they don't linger on it. They let the world building like kind of speak for itself. And
but I think it's something that you would easily miss like first time.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of stuff like that because you're still kind of I find this true of a lot of movies where like you're just kind of getting your footing and then extra details like that just you're not clocked in the right way enough yet to pay attention. I think that was a moment that I wrote down, but there's several more, and I'm sure there's plenty of stuff that I missed. Like I think this is going to be incredibly rewarding to keep rewatching over the next few years.
Mm-hmm.
2 other notes before we get into the topics. One, I just found out randomly, the guy who plays Bert is part of a band that I like called July Talk. I didn't recognize him, but I like looked up people in the cast afterward, and apparently he's one of the members.
Did he say the N-word in any of his songs like he did in this movie?
No. I mean, not the ones I've listened to, at least. I don't know their whole discography like that.
I didn't know what you were talking about for a second. I had to look up who this character is.
Yeah,
I didn't realize until I looked up.
He's the other white vampire that's not Remick.
The nephew of the Grand Dragon.
I completely forgot about that. Wow.
Well, he's never like super prominent outside of like the scene where he turns.
Right,
yeah.
He's the one in the house, right? Okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I'm not even sure that they say his name more than like twice, so
No, his wife
I
calls
think
his name.
the wife says his name once.
Mm-hmm.
And then my last note, this was like my main reaction walking out of the theater. I was like, Michael B. Jordan shooting up 24 Klansmen to end your movie. I was like, would I be mad at that being in any movie? Like, it'd be out of place. I don't know if I'd be mad at it, like, even if it doesn't fit. I'm not even positive that it fits here, but, like, hats off for just making that scene.
I think
Like-
that scene's also what sold the trailer. I'm gonna be honest with you. That shot of him walking forward with the Tommy gun is definitely the most marketed image of the whole movie, I think.
Yeah, that especially, well, maybe that's not like an actual poster. It's definitely the one that I've seen the most.
No, it's not a poster. They didn't make it a poster, but they it's in like every trailer. I think it's in most of the promos. Like they really push that hard, which is honestly why I thought it was going to tie in more with the vampires. But it really doesn't.
You asked the question, what's he shooting at? You know,
Exactly. Yeah, and the fact that the shot's so good because it's one of those shots where it's showing him in the experience of doing it as opposed to whatever he's shooting at. So it adds to that like wonderment. It's almost like the Steven Spielberg shot where it's like the reaction shot that he always does, kind of in that way.
That is a Spielberg trademark, but
with him, he does it for like astonishment, like when they first see the dinosaurs, like you're watching their reaction to it instead of So in a way, it's kind of like that, I guess.
that shot in Jurassic Park is hilarious.
Yeah.
Because just their reactions to it's like, yeah, but who wouldn't react like that?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, let's move into my topic. As we touched on it a little bit, world building for original horror. So I nerd out on how a story that's new to me goes about building its world if they make an effort to. A lot of movies or shows don't. But not only is it fun to engage and learn, but I also use it as research. Well, I use everything from my life as research for just how to tell a story. But that's a good way to introduce a concept like that. So world building alongside character creation are my two favorite aspects of writing a new story, which is why sometimes I just don't even finish stories. It happens. But I think you can't really have characters that feel like they fit the world without having the world there. I mean, you can, but you'd have to adjust things about the character to make sure they do fit. So you look confused, Evan.
No, I'm not.
Oh, is that just the lighting?
I think it's the lighting.
It might be the lighting, and I think I'm just looking at like a lower part of my nose.
The deep pensive shadow.
So like my eyes are down a little bit.
I was like, did I lose them already?
No. World building, you said? What? You mean like so Legos? Or like...
Imagine a Lego version of this movie.
I've seen a Lego scene. There's like a Lego scene of, I think, when Cornbread's coming back or trying to get back in. I've seen
like a Lego animated.
I need to see that. I need to see that.
I'll see if I can find it.
That's probably the funniest scene of the movie.
It's so good. By the way, shout out to Omar Benson Miller for his performance in this. So good.
Yeah. God, that invite me in scene's just hilarious. I want to take a second to shine lights on what it takes to craft something original, because for the past few decades, not everything in Hollywood has been original. It's been a lot of adaptations. Even things you might think are original come from something else. Oh, that was a book that I'd never heard of, or that was based on a video game that didn't sell well, or I don't know.
Wait, you're telling me Five Nights at Freddy's isn't original? And Five Nights at Freddy's 2? My favorite? Sorry.
No, Evan, that's actually based on something that happened in real life. You know,
it's one of those. Oh,
yeah, it's really a biopic if you think about it. Based on the animatronic Freddy Fazbear. He was a rival of Chuck E. Cheese. It's the whole thing. So, time period. You got to pick a time period that makes sense for the story you're trying to tell. If it's not one from real life, then you have, and I do not say this lightly, you have so much more work to do if it is not from real life or a period from our world. Because I'm not saying you got to write a history book, but you got a lot of work to do, man. The story I shared with you, Evan, is obviously not from our world. So There's a lot of things that you don't see that need to happen. And under time period, historical events, what might have happened to shape the world. You got tone, figure out what's the vibe of the movie. What do you want your audience to feel while they're watching? Themes, and none of these are in any particular order. You can go about this any way when it comes to world building. But themes, characters, obviously. This also includes the monsters / antagonists. Again, if creating something original, like an original monster, it may be more difficult for the general audience to grasp. So going with another new take on vampires was smart, because vampires and their abilities and weaknesses can be adapted to any story, as we've seen over the decades since vampires have been introduced in fiction. Sometimes they sparkle. It's all right. This stayed pretty true to the core elements of what make a vampire. So like invited in, can turn others, sucks blood from the neck, dies in sunlight, strength, speed, flight, weak to garlic and wooden stakes, that whole thing. And then on top of all of those things, you got the story itself and making sure it's set apart from anything seen before. I'm not saying your story can't remind people of other things, as Angel mentioned, from Dusk Till Dawn, but you have to justify making the movie, if that makes sense. Like, why would you just want to make, this is, I just made Star Wars again, but this time...
It's about grain.
That's not even where...
I'm leaving. Goodbye.
You teed that up, man, and also...
No, this is over. This podcast is over. I knew what you were going to say, too, and I hate it.
That's on him for being unoriginal, man. I take no blame for that.
No comment.
There's so much slow motion. Why? Sorry.
I'm going to leave that alone. So, this was set up in a time period that's familiar if you've read a history book. Not as Evan, you'll mention later, but it's not a common time period that's talked about or discussed from American history. Monsters you're familiar with if you've seen a movie or read a book. And it's added its own flavor with top-tier music and epic freaking scenes, such as the past, present, and future I Lied to You scene. It's a one-shot that reminded me of that famous Good Times painting. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, just look up Good Times painting, and it's in the images. I'll give you a second.
I may have seen this.
I don't know if I have, actually.
I think there was a different one that I imagined that's a little more like cartoon style.
There are different versions of it, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, okay. I'm seeing one main one there.
Mm-hmm.
It does look like that, though.
Yeah.
Now that I'm looking at it, maybe I'll save this picture and put it up in the YouTube version so that viewers can see this too.
And that scene, right when the vampires are like about to enter the joint and the aspect ratio shifts again, it's like a video game cutting from a cutscene to gameplay. And I didn't realize that until my second watch. Especially the way everybody's standing and the way Michael B. Jordan's like sitting there, like
teeing up.
It really felt like
I was
back
like,
to game.
Dude,
yeah.
It's legit Uncharted. They literally do that in an Uncharted fan film they made with Nathan Fillion back in like 2015. It's so cool.
It's dope. Also, fun fact, Cougar likes to draw from other things, as all good artists do. So the glowing red eyes, which was an actual practical effect, was a reference to the wolf from The Last Wish.
Yeah.
Wait, oh.
Death. The wolf from Last Wish, yeah.
I wouldn't have expected such a recent reference.
He said that in an interview.
3-year-old movie.
He said that in an interview.
So interesting, like the stuff that gets picked too. Because you always think it's going to be like an old movie, right? Like something from like the 80s. But now it's something like recent films are good to get inspiration from too, guys.
Yeah, he was talking to an interviewer, and Coogler was talking to an interviewer, and he was like, what's like the main feature of the wolf every time you see him? And we're like, the glowing red eyes. Yeah, that's what you drew for that. It was cool to hear. Yeah, that's thanks for letting me geek out. I love world building and how people or just writers, artists go about building their world and slowly like letting audiences and readers in like bit by bit. Like, okay, now you get this aspect of the world. It's like unlocking a locked video game map, kind of like that. But yeah, I'm gonna open up the floor.
I'll definitely second your. I mean, my first note was basically what you were just saying with like, or you said it at some point, like, take a horror archetype we already have and are familiar with, but like do it in a way we haven't seen before. And I think you also have to put like enough of a twist, like you got to dial the angle far enough, because it can't just be like, well, zombie, like you can do zombies but they're fast or whatever, until more things do that, and then it's like, okay, you got to give us something more than that. And I think he really did. Like we've already mentioned, my brother, after he saw this, was like, yeah, it's just From Dusk Till Dawn. And I was like, okay, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen From Dusk Till Dawn, but I was like, I feel like there's no way that like From Dusk Till Dawn does the kind of thematic stuff that this does.
No.
I'm sure it doesn't use vampires. Like maybe the structure and like some of the plot beats fall in the same place. Sure, I can believe that pretty easily, but I think the amount of like just the metaphor that he's using here, I don't feel like has ever been used for vampires. I'm not super well versed, but I feel like if it were there, I would have heard more people talking about it at the very least.
What is the metaphor?
I think there's a few different readings. Mine, and the one that I've heard echoed, is like the entertainment industry, essentially. Like, kind of like he wants, Remick like wants Sammy's talent. He wants his soul. I don't know exactly how far it extends. Like, I kind of have a sense of it. I haven't like fully broken it down, because you kind of have like music, and I think, you know, Ryan Coogler obviously comes from the film industry. I think it probably translates across both. I think that you could probably name it a little differently too. That's the name that I think to give it, but I think you can kind of expand it beyond that, or narrow it down a little bit more too. Yeah, I think another thing that's cool about the world building here is like he takes a historical setting that's real. He takes a archetype that we're familiar with, but it's not like an obvious combination. Like vampires have been put in the past before, because that's kind of inevitable. When your thing is like an immortal being, you're gonna like put them in history. But I don't feel like anyone would be like, oh, that's such an obvious thing. And like I think there's a reason it hasn't been done exactly like this before. So that's just like another cool kind of world building addition that he did. And there was a point in the theater where I was kind of asking myself, like, why isn't this present day? I don't remember at what point in the movie I was thinking that, but I feel like I kind of was questioning it at one point. And I think there are a few good reasons. One is just solely so that you can make the I lied to you scene work. Because if you set that in present day, you can't really show like future types of music. Because you have that line from Delta Slim, like it connects us to the, or maybe it's in the beginning too, where it's like music connects us to the past and future. If you're showing it as their future but our past, like that allows you to do that instead of having to be like, what's a 2050 musician look like? And we just kind of have to take that as a given.
I thought he kind of dipped into that a little bit. Like, wasn't there some guy like in like silver outfit and rocking like an I don't know if that was supposed to be future.
I think that's not. No, that's
I
still
think that's
like
80s.
Somewhere in the 80s. Yeah,
Really?
that's definitely not like the future.
That's like an 80s rock look.
I know everything is chrome in the future, but I don't think that's what they were going for.
There's a lot of chrome stuff in the 80s too. And before too. Like,
yeah, that's true.
I saw that as definitely like rock.
It's fully the 80s. Yeah, I see what you're saying too. Like the fact is like he's trying to connect all times as opposed to just saying like, oh, we're connected to the past, because I think that would kind of defeat the point of a lot of the theme. Is that like all times are kind of tied together, but you get to like choose what you want to do and who you want to be. You know, if it was just the past, I think it would not defeat the point, but it definitely wouldn't make the point as strongly.
There's something, and maybe I'm not the best person to unpack this, but I feel like there's something like deeper to showing like how he's kind of been inspired, and this is kind of true of all artists. I feel like you stand on the shoulders of who's come before, but you're also like building what the future artists and generations of people will build off and be inspired by. So you kind of want something at the middle of that spectrum to really feel it.
It's a big pyramid. I hope everybody's shoes are clean.
Yeah, and I hope the pyramid is being built ethically, unlike the real pyramids.
Yeah.
It also gives you, like, showing Sammy as an old man at the end. Like, that's a good button. You could kind of do that if it was set in present day, but I feel like you'd have a harder time of it. Like, just kind of planting him in the 90s gives it... I don't know, it just works a little cleaner, I think.
Yeah. I also think is what you're talking about. You need to build a future era if you're doing it, you know.
Yeah. If it was set now, he'd be in Cyberpunk 2077.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, which I feel like would be mildly distracting.
He'd be saying choom and preem and gonk and delta. And
is that Gen Alpha slang or is that Cyberpunk stuff?
No, it's all Cyberpunk slang.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, kind of going off what you guys were saying, obviously setting it in the past with vampires has been done a million times, but I feel like not everybody thinks to do it all the way through. A lot of times when you see them in the past, it's like flashbacks. You know, like it'll still be set in present day or like close to present day, but we'll see like flashbacks of their time before. They'll be in like the period clothing to show that it's the past and everything. They'll be speaking all old timey maybe, but the idea of like fully immersing you in this era and building from the themes and the characters first and like sort of building the lore and everything around that, I think it's not always as obvious as it seems once it's actually done. That's the part of it that I really liked. Like you were saying, they kind of move and twist the lore around to work for this while also using a lot of like classic elements don't always get used. Like I think I can count on one hand the amount of times I've actually seen them use the whole vampires getting invited in thing. Like they use it in Vampire Diaries, which I unashamedly watched.
Let the right one in, or let me in.
And let the right one in, yeah. Yeah,
it's
which is
literally the whole premise.
And there's a lot of moments in both those where like it's kind of key to that, to like the story that they're telling, and it's really key to the story here. They had to be invited in for any of their plan to work,
and it made for the funniest scene in the film.
Yeah, it really did. Again, shout out
Let me in so I can come on help.
Shout out to Cornbread. I love it.
Be kind to one another.
Oh man, it's so good. I love it so much. But it's cool, and I think there's actually too, like, if you know vampire lore too, it's cool getting to see all those little things peppered in. But even if you don't, right? Like, especially on a rewatch, you start to see like the different elements of like what they're using and why they're using it. Like using the garlic is fun because I feel like that also doesn't get used super often. Obviously, you're going to use the things like stakes and sunlight and everything. The fact that they actually use silver is really, really cool. And I have a point
Oh yeah, that was another one. Mm-hmm.
I have a point about that when we get to my topic, which is really great about the guitar. Silver is usually used for werewolves now, but it's also a very classic weakness of a lot of supernatural creatures, including vampires, which is great. And they actually like use it here, and it's important, and it's really cool.
Silver's my weakness too.
Cool.
No, I can't. I'm allergic to silver.
I figured.
Fun fact.
Cool. The part of the lore that they add that's really interesting, that I think has been used in like other ways before, is sort of this idea of the hive mind, where everybody is sort of sharing memories and all these things, and like in a way, like on paper, that could potentially be like, oh, that could be like them coming together. But in practice, it's really not. It's just a practice of assimilation, which is the point that the film is trying to make. But that's like not really a classic part of vampire lore. And I think it's interesting that like that's kind of the twist that they added in here. It shows that Coogler's putting his own stamp on it. And like there's a real purpose to why he's telling the story here and why he's using this particular creature to do that. They sort of create this hive mind of like hunger and like violence that is reflective of the world that all these characters are trying to overcome in the first place. So
but also
really
one that's espousing kindness, like verbally. They're all.
Oh yeah. They're perfectly fine to peddle that exact narrative, but in practice, you can absolutely see, especially when you're in the middle of it, that that's the exact opposite of what they want. They want conformity, is what they really want.
There might have been a half second where I was like, are they really the villains? And then I realized they were killing people. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, the people that they turn are dead. Like that's like they're not themselves anymore, which is a huge thing. Like they have fully just like, and you can really see it actually going back to the cornbread scene. You can really see it in that because like when he's not getting his way, he starts to get like really aggressive. That hunger and that push to do what the group wants is the first thing that he's thinking of. He's not thinking about like himself or any of his own people. And it's something that I kind of wish that we'd seen a little more of toward the end, because obviously at the end everyone's gone except for like vampires wise, except for Stack and Mary. So I kind of wonder, like, I guess the hive mind is only them now. So like how free are they at that point? You can't really know.
They pretty much think on their own. I mean,
yeah, they have each other.
Dude made the decision to not bite Sammy at the end still. So
yeah, he gave him a choice, which is something I will say. The Remic's influence is gone by the end. It's interesting that like they have a weird freedom in a way with each other, but they also talk about how they don't anymore. Like he said his favorite day of his life, like the last good day of his life, was that day because it was the last time he saw the sun and the last time he got to see his brother. And then he basically like lost almost everything except Mary. I'd be interested to see like what they do, what they got up to in those 60-ish years.
How do you think the husband's dealing with that, or how do you think he dealt with that? She never came back, unless she went back and ate him.
Yeah.
I suppose we aren't really supposed to care.
Yeah,
he sounds like a bad dude. So
I just thought it was funny.
Yeah, I wasn't really thinking of that. It's an interesting choice that he makes because it's not always like, for one thing, Angel, you were saying like hive mind is not a thing that vampires necessarily, like that's not intrinsic to them. It's a thing we can see in other like supernatural kind of creatures. But again, they're doing a thing where it's like there is still a degree of autonomy. And I'm wondering now, like, is that unique to the type of vampire that Coogler decided to make? Like, in this fictional world, is anyone who's bitten by anyone part of a hive mind and they all agree? Or is there something to, like, as far as we know, Remick is patient zero. I guess somebody bit him, but we never find out who. So is it all because he's the original? Is he imposing like his will in that way on the rest of them? Maybe Stack and Mary don't want to assimilate everyone once they're like free of him as the originator. I don't know that, like, I don't want to call it a plot hole because I don't think it is, but we don't really know if it's like, if that assimilation instinct is just a thing that happens where like, because that's often true of like zombies and werewolves. It's just like as soon as you're bitten, like your only goal is turn everyone else into a zombie or a werewolf.
Well, zombies, yes. Werewolves, not necessarily.
Yeah, I guess werewolves not so much. Because they even
kind of
like
depends on the way they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
because werewolves sometimes even like Lupin in Harry Potter, it, like one of his defining personality traits is like, I do not wish this upon anyone, and like will isolate myself to avoid inflicting it upon anyone else.
That's how a lot of them do, actually.
Yeah, that's a lot of it. I'm writing a werewolf novel right now, and like that's like a big thing. Is like one thing I've noticed looking at other lore is like a lot of them want to avoid human contact so that they don't spread it. You know.
But the story always finds a way.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I see what you're saying though. I think there's two ways to look at it in that lens though. Like as far as sort of like the way the hive mind works, I would say like, because there's other hints at it in other lore. The person you're bitten by has a certain degree of influence over you. That definitely happens. You see it in like Vampire Diaries, again, it does happen, but also like Nosferatu, which was more recent. Like there is a level of influence that the person who bit you does have over the person they bit. You know,
or
so
the White Walkers in Game of Thrones kind of have that dynamic a bit too.
That's true with the with the Night King. Yeah, I think that what probably it is like it's a lot less common in this world to maybe do what Remick did, where he created this entire like vampire army basically to like build it up and like build this whole community. So maybe this is like the most extreme version of it, and everyone in his like vampire lineage is already dead. So the only will left when he starts biting people is his own. So all of his goals sort of take center stage, and then he just brings everybody else into it, and all of their personalities fold in with his, but his is still the dominant one. As much as he espouses this thing of like unity and being together, it's still everything that he wants.
So I wonder if there was like a boss, like somebody over him, because he said he had, and that boss like died because he said he had other friends. He had
that's what I'm thinking.
Other friends, so maybe they were all like, so you had the boss and original vampire, let's say it was Dracula. He got clapped, but he had turned a bunch of people that were like the next tier below him. So maybe they're all his Remick and his friends are all like the next level.
Yeah, that's
so they're
possible.
free of the boss because he was talking about his. I mean, it's possible they were all vampires, but it may because Remick has an origin story that he like gives hints at because of he was talking about the people that came to his land and forcibly converted all Irish people.
I think that's his human backstory, though. I think they're talking about
so that's what I'm saying. I think he had to be turned, right?
Maybe not during that, but later for sure. Possibly during that, though. I mean, it's certainly possible that one of those men was the one that turned him.
Yeah, because I'm sorry, I can't imagine a baby child Remick vampire kid.
Mm-hmm. I get the sense that he was turned earlier that day. Like, he's running in the sun with fresh wounds, and like, where is the indoor? Like, when the is it Choctaw Native Americans? They're chasing him, and like he's just in like a field with maybe some like wheat or like tall grass to shade him from the sun.
I think
he might have turned like minutes before. I kind of got that sense. Like, now that you guys are saying,
he was an escapee. Like, there was one that was probably wreaking havoc, and the Choctaw showed up and just started mowing him down. And
that could even been that's why he's the last one left, and so like he's got that hunger from the initial turn, but like that only his will is left. Like I was saying, like I think that's sort of where we're at.
Now, how would he know about his other friends though? But maybe it's from the knowledge given to him from the one who turned him.
I think you can maybe assume that. The thing that possible. Also there's two things that also make me like, I guess they just kind of are limitations that we see in the movie textually. One is that he really doesn't seem to be answering to any kind of like Dark Lord over him.
Right.
From what we see in this, he's the top dog of these vampires. Also, when he talks to Sammy and he's like saying that he wants his music, I think he uses the word I. He doesn't say we. He's not thinking of that in terms of like the collective. He says like, I want what you have. So to me, that signals like the rest of them seem, if not subservient to him, then like subservient to the group. Like we're saying, like they have a degree of autonomy. But that thing with the music, I think, is a Remick desire. It's not a hive mind desire necessarily.
Yeah. And I think, I think at that point he is the hive mind. Actually, Evan, back to your theory, I saw something today too. I don't remember what the exact reference was, but he makes some reference to something in history, and I think that it implies that he's somewhere like 1,000 years old. So I don't know if he was turned that day, but I think your theory makes sense if the rest of his like vampire coven was killed that day. Like if the Choctaw hunted them down basically, and that's when he's the last one left. So like this is the first time in however long that like his will has only been his, and he's still got this vampire desire to like turn everybody around him and like impose his will, which is now like I guess he'd be feeling fully his will for the first time in like a long time. Like I think that's certainly possible.
I think that's possible. I think it's also possible that Remick is a 35-year-old human who got bit by a vampire who was maybe 1,000 years old, or had like 1,000 years worth of data stored up from past vampires. He downloads all of that in the one day and like has that knowledge. The only thing that's making me pause with that is I don't get the sense that anyone else does. Like Stack and Mary don't seem to have that 1,000 years of like knowledge at the end.
This is all world building stuff. I love it. This is
It's so
all
cool.
theory. This is why I love world building just as a concept. You can make anything from it. And I guarantee you, because everybody theorizes, we just theorize, but I guarantee you Ryan Coogler himself knows. He has the answer, because those are questions, everything we ask, those are questions that have to be answered in the creative process of something like this. So
or left intentionally ambiguous in some
right there,
cases.
not everything and that's like the one of the only downsides of world building. Not everything you write is going to be shown,
And that's okay.
Yeah,
that's fine.
and that's
If
more
anything,
than
it's
okay.
better.
Well, that's true of character creation too.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
So this is going a little outside of it, but I've been doing some minor character and major character backstory for something I'm working on.
Do they have superpowers?
No.
Then you've lost
unless
me.
you count being able to throw mid ranges really, really well.
Oh, this is the disc golf.
Yeah, it's the disc golf one.
Oh, okay. No,
okay.
you have me again.
Could the disc golf discs be on fire?
Well, I have a couple discs right here, and I might have some matches somewhere up here, so I could find out.
This is how we get the views, guys.
Yeah. Anyway, what I was pointing to is, so Jelani, you have, I don't know if it's yours originally, but there's a list that you showed me of like just stuff that you write down for every character.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of expanded on it for, like, I added a few for my thing.
I want everybody to make their own of that. Yeah.
But I remember you saying when we were working on something, you were like, I think I wanted to move on to something else. I was like, does this even matter? And you were like, no, we're going to stick with this. We're going to write down every single thing on here, even if it doesn't matter. And I was like, after we did that there, I was like, you know what? That kind of works. And we have really deep characters now, so I'm going to do that here. I think you should do the same thing with world building, where you have, and you were kind of pointing to this, like, build out more than what we see.
You need. Yes.
And I think it's important that you don't show it, because then you get like the Silmarillion or all of like Tolkien's extra stuff, which is like, sure, anyone can go read that if they're interested, but like you never really want all of that in the text of your story.
Like Game of Thrones is a perfect example. I did not know how expansive that world was. Like I watched it was like a half-hour video on just how many other regions there are and how weird that world gets. Like a lot of other places outside of Westeros aren't human. Like there's just a lot. There's like fish people and giant golden godlike people with
there's
their
like
own
a land
history.
of demonic entities. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's been hinted at like that some characters from the show, like is it Missandei? The red lady.
Are you thinking about Melisandre?
Oh, Melisandre.
Yeah.
Because there's a character named Missandei, different characters.
Yeah. I mixed their name.
Yeah. But she's like a demon lady or something.
Yeah, and it's hinted at that she's been to like the edge of the world that is only talked about in like it's his like history book. I forget like the title of it.
Is it a World of Ice and Fire? Something like that?
Yeah.
He's written more history about the books than the books.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's also an example of like both wise scaling and some places where like he maybe goes a little too far into like, I'm going to tell you the entire history of like the Tyrells or the Freys, and you want to know how many Walder Freys there are? Because apparently, like,
there's
Walder
5
Frey names. Oh, I thought there were a lot more than that.
I think our friend Mitch said there was 5 because I think our friend Mitch said there was 5.
Our friend Mitch is a big Game of Thrones person.
That's something big that I learned a lot about in the schools. Like when you're writing, it's like you want to show all of the cool stuff that you built out, but it distracts from the story. You need to you need to build that 3-dimensionality to it so that there's no gaps in the world. Like you need to understand, especially if it's an original world, like you said before, Jelani, like if it's its own history, you need to build that history so that you understand how it works.
You also get to a point to where your world, if you've built up enough of it, it starts filling in its own holes, like filling in its own gaps.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes theories do that. Like, honestly, sometimes people will do it for you.
Right.
If they like it enough.
That happened with why was it Valyrians didn't go to Westeros? Like why they didn't conquer it because they were scared of like magic or something, even though that's not canon. Like that makes sense for the story. Something like that.
Like they took other elements of it and like kind of made sense. The fans did, right? Yeah, I think I've heard of that. It's hard to remember now what's like canon lore and what's like stuff that the fans kind of created that he's like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. But sorry, I cut you off. You saying build up enough? Yeah.
Yeah, like especially if it's its own original world, you have to build up enough history. And like there's a reason that people will study history when they're building up these major worlds. Like I like Brandon Sanderson's a big example. Like Mistborn has a lot of historical references in it. So it's like I'm not either. I'm on the last book of the first trilogy. It's really good though. And like it's like to build a world like that, it's very difficult to do. And I think he did a good job. But you bring in elements from all these other things. Game of Thrones was probably a more one-to-one example where a lot of it is heavily based on the history of England, like the United Kingdom area, like the British Isles. Like there's a lot of stuff about the War of the Roses and all that stuff. Like it's a little more like exact history in some cases, but also it uses magic and its own culture to like build up its own thing. But if you look at the actual story itself, it uses the elements of it that you need to for the characters and the stories you're telling. And there's still a lot of it. Like it's a political drama for the most part. So you still use a lot of that lore, but there's a reason that like he's written 75 historical books about the world too, because there's so much more in there that you don't realize is being used in the background, but the world wouldn't make sense without it. And I think this movie is a good example of like, there's a reason he chose this particular era and this part of history to focus on, and he made he used it to tell a story he wanted to tell about these characters and just kind of built the monsters and the lore of it around that.
I just want to say I'm so glad it wasn't slaves. I'm so glad that it wasn't during like slaves.
It would have been I think that's what everyone assumed it was going to be, honestly. Like, even I did, but when I learned it was about vampires, I'm like, okay, it's probably going to be about slavery and race, but no, it's about a lot more things than that. It's like it's got a very personal touch to it with a lot of these characters, and there's like a timely like transcendence to a lot of the themes too that doesn't just focus on this one era. Like it expands everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But he clearly did a lot of research about this time. Like I was going to tie that in to world building. Like that's not him creating, that's him researching, but it still kind of hits similarly. Like there's another one of our internet friends, Kalki, after this movie came out, was sending like so many clips of Ryan Coogler talking about like, oh, I researched this thing and this was like a real thing from that time that I threw into the background, or like this one throwaway line that was a real thing that happened and I just wanted to like, and I'm sure there's like 50 of those things that I missed in especially the first bit before the vampires show up. Like kind of research really pays off. And I don't know if I've heard of like I've heard of directors doing stuff where they're like, I want this to be as accurate like visually as possible to this time period, but I don't feel like I hear as much about like extensive research like that being done and showing up on screen.
And to do it in a freaking month. I'm sorry.
Somehow.
Well, I am positive that the research probably took a lot longer than a month, but the actual writing of it, like, he had to plan so meticulously for that to even be possible. You know, he had to have, like, the story nailed down to be, like, something had to click in his head to be like, okay, I know exactly what these characters would do in this situation. I'm just going to do it. And then it just happened. Also, I don't know if this is true. Have you guys heard that this was supposed to be a Blade movie? Like originally this was like a Blade script. I keep hearing rumors about that, but I haven't heard anything. But doesn't it, I feel like it kind of makes a little bit of sense, because I think initially they were going to do a version of Blade set in like the 20s or 30s when they were first talking about it.
Given how much development hell that movie has been in, and given that Coogler is attached to Marvel, it wouldn't surprise me if like they were like, hey, let's bring you in to work on Blade for a little bit, and he starts doing this research during that time and maybe like coming up with a take on it, and then they're like, never mind, we're gonna go with somebody else, go make Wakanda Forever for us. And then he's like, all right, I'll do that. But let me just keep tinkering over here for a little bit.
But you made me do all this homework, guys.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just
What's
take
crazy
it.
is Delroy Lindo's attached. I don't know if he's still. I don't know who's still attached to Blade, but Delroy Lindo,
No
who
one.
played Delta Slim, was also attached to Blade.
Oh, it's over now. You didn't hear
Oh,
it
it's
was
gone?
announced
That's-
it was announced like yesterday or today, day of recording or day before recording, that like it's done. It looks like it's canceled. It's gone. But they've done that before. I just at this point I figured that like 5 years ago.
I had like 2 more notes on this topic. So one, Jelana, you kind of pointed to this earlier. I thought the time period choice was interesting. We talked about it a little. I forget how you worded it, but I agree that it's like the 30s, one, are just not a time that we think of. Like, I feel like the only thing I ever think about with America in the 1930s, it's like Great Depression and maybe the Dust Bowl. And I'm not even positive that the Dust Bowl is then.
Yeah, it is. I think it's like late 30s.
Yeah, something like that. But it's kind of like a decade where basically nothing happened.
Yeah.
Is typically how I feel like it's treated. And that's sort of even true in this movie. Like, we're kind of at a point with, like, black farm workers in the South where, like, slavery's over on paper. We have, like, I think they called it indentured servitude
Sharecroppers.
here. Sharecropping, yeah. I think there's, like, nuances separating those two, but they're always kind of the same in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And like Reconstruction policies from like the 1870s, they've been in place for a while. Segregation and Jim Crow are like pretty solidly here, but we're well before like civil rights movement in the 60s. So everything's kind of like in a stasis.
Yeah, it's after the Roaring 20s.
Yeah.
Because that's where all that music came from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's
yeah,
where
I think,
all the
and remind
music
me, was Prohibition still in effect at this point in time?
Might have been.
Am I remembering wrong?
I think it's around that time. I think it could have been.
Because they don't really touch on it here, but obviously they're running like a bar.
Mm-hmm. And they were working for the mob, and I think a lot of the mob at that time was like...
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is until 1933, I think.
Oh, so towards the tail end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so technically, yeah, it's still like a thing. They don't touch on a lot of it here. I guess because there's so much else going on.
Pale moon.
Anyway, I thought that was interesting that it kind of allows, like...
Just ignored his singing.
No,
I didn't know how to... I didn't know how to...
It's been
I'm sorry, I didn't
my
mean to
head.
dismiss it. I don't know the rest of that song.
I don't know how to address your karaoke, Giovanni, so I'm just going to ignore you.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting that, like, he used that to show us, like, that first 45 minutes is kind of a day in the life in this time period that I never really learned about, and I assume a lot of people haven't. I don't remember any, like, history book really covering it in any class that I took personally. So that's kind of just, like, a cool... And it still works. Like, the movie is not... It doesn't feel like you're getting a history lesson. Like, it feels just very rich. And it's doing good character work alongside that the whole time.
Maybe that's why it was picked, because there's not a lot to, like, catch people up on for the time period. Because you said it was like a stasis, so with there not being much going on, there's more to focus on as far as the story goes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have backstory of, like, you know, they're sharecropping, doing work, and you know,
I think unexplored areas too. Unexplored areas, there's a lot less like there's stuff that like people are not necessarily going to recognize, so you can focus on what you want to focus on.
Right.
You know, there's not the expectation of like what the movie is going to be initially, right?
Yeah. I think that is true for American audiences. I did notice when I was looking at the box office numbers, this made significantly more in the US than it didn't make a ton overseas. And I think maybe part of that is that it's so rooted in American history and doesn't really it's kind of hard for me to know because like I know American history, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's like not something that foreign audiences necessarily have a ton of footing on, because the movie kind of assumes that you know like enough. Like I think there's a couple references there, like Sammy mentions like, oh, there's no Jim Crow in the North. I don't know that necessarily random European person from whatever country, that they might know what Jim Crow is. I don't really know how well that term has like traveled outside of the country, or just like general knowledge of this time period.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I would say that might be one of the ones that like would have permeated,
Maybe.
but like smaller details, maybe not.
Yeah, like they might
Um,
not, the way that we automatically know kind of where this sits in like in between, like we just know that segregation is happening, and it's never like we never see like a whites only sign in this movie. I
yeah.
think a foreign audience like might kind of be like, so wait, what's the deal right now? Like they see the year at the beginning, but it doesn't
hmm
like translate to them automatically that same way.
Yeah,
Like I don't
but
know that
like
the word segregation is said in this movie in a way that would
no.
signal it to somebody who wasn't caught up on like American history that way.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I think you're right though. I don't think that it is. I mean, obviously it's like heavily hinted at, and there's a lot of like smaller details, like especially with Mary's character about like white passing, things like that, like stuff that may not necessarily be like we kind of understand it based on history, like on our own, but like as Americans who, learned all that growing up.
And I'm sure we miss stuff like that in like foreign movies all the time and just
Oh,
don't
for sure.
realize it. Or maybe we do and I'm just blanking on examples. Anyway, I thought that was an interesting thing. I have one other question. I find that sometimes when I'm coming up with something, there's like one scene that kind of presents itself to me early on where like I maybe have a few elements in place or a few characters and I can't quite imagine like the whole story, but I get like a couple of scenes that kind of start playing in my head. And I was wondering today, like, what do we think that first scene was for Coogler? Because there's a lot of like big, loud, memorable scenes in this movie, but I'm wondering like what was the thing that he kind of like, what kind of presented itself to him first, and what did he follow?
Like musically.
No, just like story was.
Mm.
You mentioned your notes, the Delta Slim scene. I think that could be it. But also, how do you go from that to vampires? I don't know
I don't
the
know.
I don't know the train of thought there, line of
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what would have come to him first,
I just
honestly.
feel like there definitely is like I can feel like there's such a like expanded out idea. I wonder what the seed was. And I agree. The Delta Slim scene, I have it in my notes, but to catch the listeners up, if you want to go ahead, but
No, it's the car scene where he's talking about how he drank away his money and they lynched his friend in a train station because they made up some lie. But good.
yeah, and then the scene kind of like they sit with that story for a moment, and then he kind of goes and starts turning that into like a hum, and then Sammy starts playing, and I was like, oh, theme here, like music is there to heal the pain, and I
hmm
could kind of feel like I could be wrong about that being the first scene, but it kind of felt like I don't know, for like the way those scenes present themselves to me, I could like I feel like I've had those like monologue scenes that like I'm like, "Oh, there's the theme." So it wouldn't surprise me if like and I'd forgotten that scene by the time the movie was over because there were like four other bigger ones that kind of
Yeah.
like took its place in my memory by the end. But on rewatch, I was like, "Ooh, I think this is like kind of the core of the movie here."
Hmm.
Yeah, I could see that.
So let's move on to Angel's topic. I'll let you announce it, Angel.
Yeah. Okay, so my topic is being who you are versus who you're told to be. Broadly, that's kind of like tying into the themes of assimilation. Sammy's whole story is really about him sort of fighting what his dad wants for him, which is to join him at the church and like help him preach all these things. Like I said, assimilation is a huge theme of the film. Everyone has had to assimilate into a world that like oppresses people of color all over America, essentially. Sammy's dad was assimilated into Christianity like so many, and the vampire lore itself, like I touched on, is tied very heavily into assimilation. Everybody assimilates into the hive mind and essentially loses their identity to sort of conform to what the hive mind wants. it's something that I've been connecting on with a lot of stuff, sort of like this idea of who you're supposed to be. And in this, this is more like a broad world building version of it. Like we said, like it's very much tied into the history of America and sort of how different groups have been forced to adapt to society, a society that oppresses a lot of different groups, and how the vampires themselves are sort of a microcosm of that. You know, everyone's sort of become a slave to Remic's hunger and his violence and his own like painful history. And he even himself hints at all of these things that happened to him too, but he's now sort of embraced those things and has said something along the lines of like they bring him comfort now. And it's really messed up. And in a lot of ways, it's sort of just, like I said, like a small version of like the history of the world itself. All the characters are sort of seeking to escape that. We haven't touched on her character too much, but Mary.
I was just saying Mary applies to this.
Mary applies to this very heavily. You know, she is a mixed race character whom a lot of people perceive as white because on the outside she appears like she would be white, but in reality she actually has mixed heritage. I don't remember. I believe that her father was half black.
I think this is actually true to Haley Steinfeld too.
It is also actually that spiked on the internet. People looking up. It's very reflective of like her own, the actress's own heritage. But it's something where like you see throughout the film, she's looking for community within these people that she feels like she relates to. But you know, she's shunned in a way by both sides. You know, and it's very hard for her. And like she really wants to be with Stack, who she loves, but you know, in some ways he also is afraid to commit to that because of, you know, the history of the world essentially. And it's really terrible. And I think someone pointed out that it was she is the first one to try to negotiate with the vampires and sort of see what they're about, and then unfortunately she is the first one turned, which is like super tragic. And outside of even race, like Smoke is trying to escape the terrible things that he's had to do. You know, they don't touch on this too much, but they make clear that like him and Stack were soldiers and that he especially is struggling with PTSD. They both are, but it's very much focused on with his character. They called it shell shock back then, but it's PTSD. And not just that, but that their father was abusive. And I believe that they say that Smoke took the brunt of it, a lot of that abuse. Like he took a lot of it for Stack in a way. Like even though they're twins, he's kind of like the older brother who protected his.
He's technically Stack. The older twin.
Yeah, but they even say too, and this is something that was really interesting too, that kind of ties back into the lore thing, was like at the end, he says to Stack, you know, he's about to kill him. He's like, I'm sorry, I didn't protect you. And he's like, you always did, which first of all, I think actually hints on the idea that like maybe Stack had a little more control over his mind after he was turned than the rest of them did. Like that was him, fully just him coming through and speaking to his brother.
It also came through when he bit Annie, and then when Smoke killed Annie, because both Stack and Mary react there.
Yeah, exactly. Like their personalities are definitely like more running through, which I think it makes sense given the story they're trying to tell. It's very personal to these characters, especially these two brothers. But Smoke is in a lot of ways like he's trying to build this new life and escape the awful things that he's had to do and that his father did to him, and sort of not be the same bad man that his dad was. He wants to believe that he can be good.
He also wants to be a father. I mean,
yeah, he does. Yeah,
not you don't see it in the way he treats Sammy, because he treats Sammy pretty badly the whole movie. But in his conversations with Annie, it shows a different side to him.
Yeah, I get in some ways Stack is a lot more like emotionally supportive and paternal to him. Like he actually tries to teach him stuff. But I think in a way, like Smoke is also maybe doing like sort of what he grew up with. Like he doesn't really know another way, but he's trying to protect him. One scene I really love actually is when Smoke is going to visit there's so many characters I'm blanking on their names. Grace and Bo. He leaves his truck outside.
The girl?
And he's talking to that girl, and it's really cool because I don't know if I clocked it the first time, but he offers her a certain amount of money. She's super happy to take it, but then he's like, no, hang on. I'm going to teach you basically how to negotiate. You know, he's trying to help her like learn to elevate herself and survive. Like these are things that are important to him and that he had to learn on his own growing up. So he wants to make sure that like the people around him, his own people, are not struggling with that. I think that's
and he kind of
really
does the same
cool...
thing like a scene later with Grace. Like he kind of has the same like, all right, I'm gonna
Oh
play
yeah,
hardball, but he's
yeah.
kind of winking like, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna help you out a little bit.
Yeah,
Like
but in
I'm
a
gonna
way,
be
too, like,
generous.
I think he likes Grace too because Grace already knows how to do that, and he's like, this is something also too, like, both of the brothers are very generous with the money that they do have because they have
they're
built up a certain
ethical
level of
gangsters.
money. They're the closest thing to ethical gangsters that we can get. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, they want to help out the people around them, and they're very like free with how they do it. They kind of try to act like they're not. Like, even the part where he shoots those two guys, he's like, we can't let you look like you almost got away with robbing us, but we're gonna pay for your treatment because
and like the first thing he's like,
out.
that doctor's still there, right? Like he's not gonna like die from a wound, like a
I'm not gonna
wound.
get what do you say? I'm not gonna get sepsis or something, right? Like
it was like, boy, how you been? I was good before you shot me, man.
It seems so funny.
The comedy in this movie is just so on point every time. It never stays too long. It's just so well timed. Stuff like that, like little things like that, are just like really good. Smoke and Stack are just like doing their best with this, but you really see it with Smoke, where he's trying to do the absolute best that he can. And I think that we get to see a lot of that when he lets his brother live because he knows his brother's still in there and he trusts him enough to live his life. And like it's the person he's protected his whole life. He can't kill his brother. They make clear at the end too, like, that it wasn't a mistake. Stack kept his promise. He stayed away from Sammy, and then at the end he gave him a choice. You know, he's still who he is. Part of it is because of, in a way, Smoke was able to be better than what he came from, which is really, really great. Unfortunately, the only one that like was really able to escape was Sammy, and there's a lot of symbolism there. We see at the beginning, he's like, he goes to see his father in the church, and then they flash back. But the whole movie, like, he's really haunted by this idea that his father has for him, that like this is the devil's music that he's playing, and he needs to be with the people of God, put the sinning ways behind, or however it is he phrased it, like leave his sinning ways behind, essentially. But like by the end, Sammy's able to use his music, which ironically is like the very thing that the vampires were trying to take away from him. He's able to use that, and he lives his whole life, like 60 years later. He's got his own place. He's built up his own career. You know, as tragic as his life was, like, he is somewhat happy, and it's because he chose to embrace these things. And the symbolism that I like that they use is really cool. So we were talking before about how silver is a weakness of vampires. There is this crazy silver, like, circular center to the guitar that is very obvious from the beginning, and he literally smashes it over Remic's head, and it's like burning him. And that's essentially what saves him, like the music, and that is what saves him and gives him enough time for Smoke to stake this guy in the heart, and then
a family heirloom
and set him on fire. Yeah,
it was Charlie Patton's.
Yeah, so a family heirloom and like passed down from a previous like legendary musician.
No, I'm kidding. Smoke said Stack was lying about that.
Whose is it?
We don't know that.
Remind me, because I know he says like who.
That he was just lying.
It was like their dads or uncles or somebody else's. It wasn't nobody famous. He was like, Stack lied to you about that. Like before he sends Sammy on his way, before he shoots up the clan, like that's when he tells him. He's like, who told you that?
Yeah, that kind of.
Also, guys, I'm silver is my weakness too. I don't know if I said it.
You did.
Silver.
You did. Yeah.
So I could be, I could be a vampire.
You could be a vampire. Yeah.
A werewolf.
I don't think I gave you permission last time you came over to my house, so like, I mean, I gave you permission to come over, but I don't think I like.
Yeah, that's all I need.
Okay.
That's all I need to enter.
Yeah.
Well, I do remember us being outside for quite a while.
I had sunscreen on.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay.
That's what. That's what does it. Have you guys seen? You guys have seen the Blade movies, right?
No.
I think there's a part in like Blade Trinity. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. Like there's the vampires are outside and they don't burn in sunlight, but it's because they're wearing like full leather motorcycle outfits and they have helmets on, so they don't burn in sunlight. I'm like, that's cheating.
Yeah,
that doesn't count.
No.
And it's like I think it's like sunrise or sunset. Like the sun is low, but still, I'm like, no, you guys are done. Like, that's not how it works. But yeah, I want to throw it to you guys too. Those were a lot of my points of like, yeah, like the only one who's really able to make it out of that is Sammy. And it's great that at the end he's sort of given a choice and he chooses to live his life on his own and doing what he wants to do and choosing the parts of his heritage that weren't forced upon him, that he chose to do himself and that weren't forced upon his people either. So yeah, well, what are your guys' thoughts?
You said you literally just all of my notes. You said them.
Oh, well, what do I win?
Bingo! You get a Yahtzee, 50 bonus points.
That was also really funny. Like the second time, because he says Sammy the first time. The second time Remick says Sammy, I think as Sammy's trying to leave, he goes, Sammy! And then jumps towards him.
That's another one of those comedy moments that got me. It's so funny. Oh my God. Like, just his delivery is crazy. Yeah. Jack O'Connell's great.
Yeah. No, I didn't have anything to add. Sorry. You said everything.
I should have let you guys chime in sooner.
I mean, you expanded this way beyond what I was really only looking at this through the lens of Sammy, and I only have like 2 points to add to it. I really like the breakdown you did there of like expanding out to all the other characters. I was just kind of seeing it as like we see the little bit of backstory where he's been raised by, he's a preacher's son,
Preacher
and
boy.
he's preacher boy. Yep.
Whoa, boy, Evan.
All right.
Wow.
I went a full hour and a half, and you guys didn't have anything to say.
Not yet.
I'm gonna take that as a win.
We've been saving it for the last half hour.
Yeah.
We planned this beforehand.
Well, my topic's next, so I better watch out. But yeah, he pretty clearly is like not down with his, like, he doesn't want to take up his dad's church. The relationship seems mostly fine, but there's some strain. And then I was clocking on the rewatch, there's a few moments between him and Delta Slim where Slim is kind of being a musical mentor for him. Like, especially they kind of cut to it's like a flashback to maybe like less than an hour previously, right before the big I Lied to You song, where Slim tells him like kind of the tradition he's inheriting, and he says it wasn't forced on us like that religion. So I was kind of seeing that. I think there's a version of this where you could have given Sammy a bit more of an arc with it, and I think it's good they don't do this, but I think you could write this in a way where he's kind of caught between the two, like his family, what they want for him, and like wanting to be a musician. But where we meet him at the start of the movie, he seems pretty set in just like, he's like, no, I'm over this church. I want to leave. Like, have fun, Dad, but no thanks. Like, he's not angsty, he's not yelling at him, he's just like, cool, yeah, I'll show up tomorrow, but I'm going out tonight. Like, you're not gonna stop me.
There's enough hints too that like he does love his dad, and he knows his dad in his own way wants what's best for him. Unfortunately, that would come at the cost of who he is, just like it came at the cost of who everybody is, because again, the religion was forced on them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I was noticing,
just like the vampirism was forced on them.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of wonder, like, Ryan Coogler seems to be taking a couple jabs at Christianity here. There's, like, he doesn't make a huge thing of it, but there's a few little moments, and I kind of wonder what his, like, full thoughts are. Yeah.
You're asking.
Yeah.
If I ever get to, maybe I will, but I don't think it would be the first question.
Another quick thing about vampire lore, it's interesting that at the end, Remick is joining in on the prayer because usually Christian symbols are a weakness of vampires.
The cross.
Like cross. They don't use the cross.
Yeah, the cross, all this stuff, holy water, everything. But in this, they actually use it to hammer home the theme again, which is perfect.
All right.
Yeah.
Is that it for that topic? Because we still have...
I'm good on it.
Well, I apparently took all your notes, so I guess.
Yeah.
Literally, I mentioned, I was like, I looked at Evan's notes. I saw Sammy, and I was like, okay, cool. But I also think this applies to Mary and Smoke, too. So, maybe I'll touch on that. So I added, a little couple notes there on them, and you said everything I wanted to say.
Yeah,
so.
I want to talk about Delta Slim too. I didn't get a chance to dive into his character as much, but there's a lot there too, which is a lot of what he's trying to like pass on to Sammy. Which is really great.
Let's move on to Evan's topic, final topic for the episode.
Yeah. So you guys can jump in wherever you feel like here, because I'm just going to run through why this movie excites me for the future. So this is what's sometimes known as a blank check movie, where like a director has made a big studio hit and now they're allowed to get a big budget and minimal oversight on an original passion project. And I'm always rooting for original movies by interesting directors, but a lot of them are not successful. Like, to just run through a quick list for anyone who's like confused on what blank check movie means. Some successful ones: Inception, Avatar. I would kind of throw a lot of post-2000s Scorsese movies here, but not all of them are financial successes. Nope kind of falls into this. I feel like it's...
Yeah,
maybe
I think Nope does.
Yeah, the only reason I'm hesitant to say that is it doesn't cost quite... It's like 60 million, which isn't small, but like I feel like blank check movie typically means like closer to 100 million or more. Pacific Rim I also kind of put here because like it's original, it cost a lot, but it's also kind of just Transformers fights Godzilla. I'm not going to say it was like a bad call to like pitch that idea, but it's an easy sell in a way that like I don't think that you needed Del Toro. I don't imagine he had to fight quite so hard for that. Some flops that we've gotten: Jupiter Ascending is a huge one. After Earth I kind of threw into this. Sucker Punch, kind of Rebel Moon. It's hard to say because Netflix doesn't do box office. Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. Argyle, The Creator, kind of Pearl Harbor. We've kind of had more flops than hits with these in the like century so far. I am really hoping that Denis Villeneuve, Greta Gerwig, and Jordan Peele get their shot at a blank check movie soon, because I think all three of them have kind of like earned it at this point. Jordan Peele might need like one more movie just because he hasn't made quite as many as the other two, but his movies have been successful enough that he might already kind of be there. I just can't wait to see what they do with like $150 million on an original thing. And it was so great to see Coogler get to do it, and that it's so successful. Like, this is definitely a hit. It made 4 times its budget, and like we're still waiting on Oscar nominations as we record this, but I'm sure it's going to at least get nominated for a few things.
It's going to get up there, for sure. There's no way it doesn't at least get nominated for a million different things.
I mean, there have been bigger Oscar snubs before, but I would be pretty surprised if it doesn't get at least nominations. It might not win Best Picture, but like...
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that nominations, for sure.
Which is still, like, I think nominations are good in them. Like, that's a feather in your cap for whoever gets the nomination. That's just a win for the industry that, like, an original idea got to, like, make this much money and kind of be the movie of the year. Because it just hasn't happened in a while. And it just really solidifies Coogler to me as, like this was a pivotal point for him to become, like, one of the greats. And I just want more from him. Like, I was kind of already... Well, no, maybe I wasn't before this movie came out. But after it, I was like, I think if we're tracking with Chris Nolan's career, Sinners is Coogler's Inception. Like, you can kind of track all of his movies with Nolan's, where, like, Fruitvale Station is his Memento, Creed is his Batman Begins, Black Panther is his Dark Knight, Wakanda Forever, I'm calling his Dark Knight Rises, even though it's in the wrong order. And I think this is his Inception. And now he's going to do Black Panther 3 next, it sounds like, but I can't wait for him to get his Interstellar. Like,
okay,
yeah,
this is one of the points I wanted to make. I understand you're trying to connect it to your favorite director, but let's just say Coogler is on his own trajectory.
I hope so too. I think it's just like there's a pretty clear parallel in that, and I think I can do it with a lot of other directors. The difference is that, like, I think you can do this with the Wachowskis. You can do it with Shyamalan. I would say probably with Zack Snyder too. The difference is that when they get to their Sinners and Inception point, they kind of don't hit. Like, they make Sucker Punch or they make Jupiter Ascending, and we don't get their Interstellar. Like, I can only really point to Nolan with this because it's kind of like him and James Cameron are kind of the only two directors who have kind of broken through that, like, blank check movie success ceiling. And now that's why I'm saying, like, hopefully I won't have to call it somebody else's Interstellar, because we'll get whatever else from Ryan
Someone will
Coogler
call it
in 5
Coogler's
years.
something.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, I kind of am, like, it's not just that I'm trying to, like, be like, oh, he's like Nolan, or, like, just
Good.
an
Okay,
excuse
thank
to
you.
bring up Inception. But, I mean, to do it again, like, this is the last time an original movie made this much, it was Inception. Like, just the numbers don't lie there. So I think it's pretty fair to put them, and it's tracking so well with, like, where they're at in their career. And I wish some of those other blank check movies, even some of the bad ones, like, I don't think The Creator is a great movie, but I went and saw it because I was like, I just want this on what this movie is on paper, like an original, high budget, great looking sci-fi movie. I want this to be a success, because if it's a success, then there will be more of them.
Did you like it?
In a way, but I would call it a guilty pleasure.
Okay.
I actually it does some of my pet peeves, but also it's John David Washington doing sci-fi stuff.
Yeah, I figured it would be that.
Tenet.
That would get you. You love John David Washington.
He has such a good, like, action hero physicality. If he just keeps being in original sci-fi things, I'll keep seeing them no matter how bad they are. And The Creator's not, like, bad.
What if he's in Rebel Moon 3?
There will not be a Rebel Moon 3. I'm sorry to tell you. They've abandoned that entire franchise now, I think.
Why?
I barely get, because it didn't do well, and also they did Snyder cuts for both. And
we don't know if it did well because it's on fucking Netflix.
That's true. Well, I don't think they're making more. Like, they had a whole bunch of other stuff set up. I don't think they're doing any of it. The same thing happened with Army of the Dead. Like, they had a whole franchise set up, and they're not doing any of it now.
Same thing happened with The Mummy.
Yeah.
And everyone was so disappointed.
There's a new Mummy now, which I have not watched the
trailer
for
there
yet,
is.
But they just released a teaser. Lee Cronin is doing it or something.
It's not connected to the original, or is it a what's happening? Because there's like two mummies coming out though. There's like one that's...
Well, there's the Mummy 4, which is the one I'm going to watch.
That's the one.
And then there's the other Mummy.
There's the Mummy, and then there's the Daddy.
And then there's the Stepdaddy.
It's going into other territory, Evan.
Then there's the Dad who stepped up.
Oh, that one. I'm waiting on that one.
God damn it.
Hit me up in 2040 when they make the Dad who stepped up.
I was attached to that one, Evan. Coogler and Nolan, they're attached to the Dad who stepped up.
Honestly, if Coogler and Nolan got together, like, that... I don't know if their styles blend. I kind of would rather they do separate, but if they did, like...
I don't think I want that at the moment. Like, I want Coogler to do his own thing.
Did I say what?
You said separate but equal, Evan? Is that what you said?
I don't think I used those words. I kind of want them to, like, make their own stuff.
What I heard.
That's what I heard, too.
That's what crazy. I heard. Huh. Wow, Evan.
Tell us what you really think, Evan.
Wow.
What are your thoughts on freedom?
I think freedom was great. I think 9/11 was bad. And I think freedom, well, I think that's just a little bit better. For the uninitiated, that's a Community reference.
Thanks for helping me with that, Angel. I was wondering if that was going to win. Well, because your topic is a question. So personally, it excites me because it gives ideas that have no prior adaptation hope. It shows studios that can profit as long as it's fire. There was also discourse around any profits for this movie going to Coogler's estate. And he knew, and anyone with a brain knew, that the only reason it was being discussed online and in his interviews and in the news was because he's a black man. And other directors had no talk around it when they did it. Tarantino, Scorsese. Don't know if you're noticing a pattern, but I wanted to mention that as well.
Fill me in a little bit, because I remember seeing a lot about, like, people were saying, oh, this flopped, when obviously not. I remember seeing those headlines. I did not remember hearing anything about, like, stuff going to his estate. I assume he's getting royalties. I remember...
Yeah.
The one thing I did hear was, like, there's some deal that he has about, like, he gets the rights back or something in like 20
Yeah, it's that.
Years.
That's what I'm talking
it's something
about.
crazy. Yeah, I just heard about that today. I don't know. I'm the details on that confuse me a little bit. Like,
I didn't mean the profits. Yeah, what you said, Evan, is more accurate.
The rights coming back to him after a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Like he would fully Like he gets him back from the studio, right?
Yeah.
I guess the headline I saw just didn't use the word estate, so I didn't think of it as being the same thing.
Yeah, but only reason that was discussed was because he's a black man. So
Yeah.
it sucks to see, but it's still happening. He's still gonna get his bread from that. So good.
I really hope he keeps getting opportunities like this too, though, because like as much as I would love to see it, like I'm saying, I want his Interstellar, and I feel like he's done everything he can at this point to earn it. Like he has earned with this one blank check movie, he's earned a second one, and I think it's a pretty safe bet that Black Panther 3 is gonna make its money back.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
like, I can't imagine that's gonna knock his status down in any way in a financial sense. And especially if he gets a couple Oscars thrown his way, like...
Denzel Washington is attached to Black Panther 3.
Oh, yeah, I saw that, too.
Yeah, I did see that. Wasn't he supposed to, like, retire after Gladiator 2? Or am I
No,
wrong?
he's got like a couple of projects. I think he's supposed to retire after Othello when he does that on stage.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
He seems a little young to retire. How old is he? Like 60s now?
He's 60s.
He's
got
got
to be up
no,
there.
he's got to be older than that.
Older
Am
than
I
60s?
wrong?
Well, John David Washington.
He's
like
71. I was
35.
right.
Oh,
I was
he
thinking
just-
he's in his
just
70s.
got
He's
the
71.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, John David Washington is also not that young either. He's like in his 40s.
I think he's young 40s, but that's old enough that, like, yeah, I can
For
believe
the
71.
uninitiated, John David Washington is his son.
Mm-hmm. Which took me a while to learn that.
They have the same name. Evan.
They have the same name, Evan.
They have the
Washington
same
is
common
not a
name.
common name. How did you not put that together?
I mean, I have a friend from childhood whose last name was Washington.
And he's related to them too.
Yeah, that's Denzel Washington's other son.
I mean, I haven't checked in with him in a long time, so for all I know, but I assume not.
Is he black?
George Washington,
Yeah.
their grandfather,
Okay, yeah.
great grandfather.
Yeah, right. It's a long line. What? It's not a terribly common surname, Evan. I don't know
It's
why.
common
you did
enough.
it. No, well, no.
Okay. I mean, at that point, is Daniel Kaluuya's character in Get Out his kid too? Because that's a Washington too.
No,
Yes.
that's fake. I mean, yes.
I mean, in can is
But also no.
I mean, we could hit up Jordan Peele
I
and
feel
ask
like
about
our
the
joke
canon.
has gone too far now.
Maybe.
I mean, I agree with a lot of your points, except for the separate but equal thing. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I don't agree with that at
You know,
all.
I don't know what your
Play
problem
it back,
is, Evan,
please.
but,
I did not say that.
I don't agree with you with all of your horrible points. However, I do agree that this is a very good indicator of Coogler's abilities. I think he deserves it. I think he's a really good director, and I'm really excited to see what he's going to do next. And honestly, I hope that this paves the way for like. It might not be original to say, but I think this should pave the way for like more directors
Yeah.
coming up. You know, I think that like more people getting to do original content is never a bad thing. I think that like, you know, there's nothing wrong with adaptations or anything. I mean, Coogler himself has done a couple of them already, and they've been a huge part of his success. I think there's room for those. I think all of us had Superman pretty high up on our top 10 list this year. That's an adaptation. Like,
I don't think Superman was in Evan's top 10.
It maybe, but not terribly high up in it. I only did a top 5. This also was kind of a weak year for me personally.
A little bit for me too.
I didn't love this. As
I did like
year.
a ranking, and I had Superman at number 7 for 2025 films.
Mm-hmm.
But
Where's
but
K-pop
anyway,
Demon Hunters?
I didn't watch it.
Okay,
I have no interest in it.
I did. It would be about it's similar to Superman.
Several people at work have been going on about it, and so I have no desire.
Me neither.
My boss sits behind me, and he keeps singing the songs from it, and I can't do it.
The last time a movie was hyped up to me like that was Everything Everywhere, and I learned my lesson.
Yeah,
I'm just not.
That's a good
I mean,
movie.
No.
He doesn't
You're
think
wrong.
so. I agree,
You're wrong.
but he is.
You're incorrect.
No.
Don't make me agree with Evan after his separate but equal comment.
Jesus
I mean,
Christ.
the word sinner is really literally next to Evan. So,
Well, not if I move
What
like
else
this.
going on?
Then it's just Cine. Sign.
Cine.
How do I move my head so it just does it correctly? There we go.
Anyway, yeah, no, I'm hoping this makes room, like we said, for more original content, because there's never anything wrong with like writing original movies. Original scripts can be like really hard to sell, especially now with the amount of people going to the theater is like significantly less, and I think that given that that's dying out so far, I think that
It's not going to get better.
It's not going to get better,
Netflix, WB.
But I mean, we want like good quality of things that are actually coming out, and this is an example of like really good quality, you know. And if a movie's going to go to streaming too, we still want good money to get put into it, right? Like we really want people to be able to tell the stories they want to tell and to not be, you know, held down by like, well, is this going to sell 800 million tickets because it's based on a book that everybody likes? I don't know why my first thought was The Hungry Caterpillar, but it's because I made a joke about it today somewhere else. Anyway, but like it's not an adaptation. It's not like another, you know, Harry Potter series, right? Like it's not going to be like a big franchise like that. But it's also like, I mean, they put the money into it for it to be something like that, and it paid off. It paid off really well. It's telling a really interesting, thematically rich story with great actors allowed to do what they want. And it's so cool also that this is Miles Catton's first movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
I completely forgot to even mention that before, but this is his first movie role, and it's crazy how good he is and how well this is done. And like other actors who have like not been in a lot either. Like I am trying to remember her name. It's Jamie
Lawson.
Yeah.
Jamie
She's
Lawson
kind of an up and comer.
She's an up and comer now. She was in
the Batman and
she was in the Batman. Yeah, which is really great.
I saw that casting. I mean, I didn't see it when it was like going, but I saw it on one of the acting sites. And I'm just gonna start lying on my resume from now on because it said you needed to play guitar. Miles didn't know how to play guitar, and he taught himself when he was cast. And I was like, wait, they didn't make him play guitar for the audition?
Nah, he said he could play guitar. Believe him.
And Simu Liu, the dude who plays Shang-Chi, same thing. Like, he didn't know any martial arts before being cast. I'm like, they didn't test to see if he could fight. So I'm just gonna start.
I mean, listen, look at Iron Fist.
Iron Fist?
Iron Fist, yeah, that guy could not do martial arts even after he got the role.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, but he was also in Game of Thrones, so he had something to his resume. I'm just saying, like,
that's true.
Newer people. But anyway, I really look forward to working with. I want to say my top 4 because I'm gonna group 2 of them together. The top 4 that I look forward to working with the most are Cougar, Peel, Gunn, and then Lord and Miller because Lord and Miller is my favorite.
Yeah. You heard it here, folks, that he can play guitar, he can sing.
Play guitar, sing.
He can
I'm actually working. I'm legit working on singing. But
remember that scene where Remick jumps up and like he's about to fly? Jelani taught him that.
He can just do that. Like you won't even need CGI. You're not.
You don't need
green
wires.
Screens.
None of that. Mm-hmm. Martial arts, got that. You needed.
He learned from Bruce Lee himself, despite being born after he died.
Yep. You know, all of it. Just don't ask me to do it in the audition. Cast me first.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
Yeah. It's disrespectful to ask you to do it in the audition first.
Yeah. How dare you? Was that it?
Well, I had 2 things for that. One, on the thing you were talking about with adaptation. Adaptations aren't going anywhere, but part of why we got this movie is because Ryan Coogler was given the freedom on Black Panther. I don't know, like, I think it's kind of a miracle that he was, given how Marvel treats the rest of its projects, that, like, he got to do as much cool stuff with that movie as he did. And as, like, not that he was unproven, but he only had 2 movies before that. And look at what happened. They gave him more room to play with Black Panther, and look at what he did with it. That's still happening in some adaptations, but I think there are others where they're just kind of getting these like gun for hire directors and just being like, all right, we prevised this whole thing. Like a lot of Marvel, basically any Disney live action remake, they're like, all right, it's all there. We just kind of got to put someone's name on it. You can take charge, but you're not going to be able to do anything with this. And there's a place for that. Like sometimes you just need like gun for hire directors have a place. I think like they are talented still and like deserve a spot, but also I want there to be room to give people room to play with those adaptations, because that's how you get a Black Panther or a Dark Knight, and then how you can give directors like the chance to prove themselves like this, and I see that kind of shrinking.
I kind of agree. Giving directors that like might do something a little bit different with the material the chance to like do something with that material, make it unique to themselves. I think that's what I've been wanting for a long time, especially with comic book movies.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they have to prove themselves. Like, I don't think you should give that opportunity to anyone. Like, if they haven't proven themselves, or if you're, A24 gives people a lot of freedom, but they don't have the budget. Like, I don't think anyone at A24 is working with more than like $50 million, which is a lot of money. And I think they also don't give that money to just anyone, but it's not $200 million. Like, there's a big difference there. And also, it's kind of their brand to be like, if they reined people in a bit more, like, that's kind of contradictory to what people have come to expect from A24. If they get big enough, they might be able to give someone that much, but I don't see that happening for at least a few years. But for, like, bigger studios, I don't like a lot of decisions that Warner Brother makes, but they at least seem to give their directors freedom with, like, Greta Gerwig with Barbie, Denis Villeneuve with Dune, and Ryan Coogler with this. Like, I don't feel a ton of studio like, I'm sure there's some in there, but it seems like they are more okay with stepping back and letting the creators cook a little bit than, like, Disney seems to be. Like, Disney seems kind of allergic to that.
I mean, Marvel, the only ones I can think of in recent memory have been Multiverse of Madness, because there was a lot of Raimiisms in that. And then the last two Thors with Love and Thunder and Ragnarok, where Love and Thunder, they just let Taika just do
what he
anything.
wanted. Yeah.
Anything.
I
And
remember
then
liking
think
that when
they've
it
reeled
came
back
out,
since.
and I don't remember
Yeah.
anything except the end now.
Yeah.
But I mean, look at the treatment that, or I don't know about treatment, but like, if you compare the Black Panthers to this, like, I can really feel the studio oversight in both Black Panthers in a way that I don't want to say it's totally absent here, but I can't really detect it here very much. Like, to me, it feels like people at Disney were like, hey, really make sure you, like, kind of bring in the white audience a bit. They may not have said it explicitly, but I think, like, there's stuff in that movie that feels like, I mean, just Everett Ross as a character is like, here you go, here's your, like, good white character, and we don't have that here. And I like that he is being given that freedom, which I'm sure he probably won't get on Black Panther 3. Like, he seems like he has some stuff he really wants to say about the CIA in those movies that he is not getting to. And I would be very curious to see what he would do with those movies with zero oversight, but I'm sure we're never going to.
Guess we'll see.
We'll see. And hopefully we get more of, like, maybe after he's done with the Black Panthers, he'll make that, like, maybe it's not the CIA specifically, they just are featured in those movies, but maybe we'll get to see kind of what he wanted to make there. I hope so.
Yeah,
I agree.
So let's move along to, I don't remember whose idea this was originally, as far as, like, just doing horror every October.
I think it might have been you.
Probably. I didn't want to take credit if it wasn't me, but it probably.
Yeah, but you've been wanting to watch. You've been saying you wanted to watch more horror movies.
No, we came up with it like 3 years ago initially. The idea to do, like, a yearly cycle.
So let's get into our horror takeaways for this cycle.
Yeah, I mean, I think we had some good picks this year. So our horror cycle was Midsummer, then Train to Busan, which is my favorite zombie movie, and then this. And I think that the thing that I took away most from each of those is what I take away from a lot of things, which is just focus on characters and just kind of let it go from there. I think that should be a rule of thumb in most storytelling. There's room for genre films, and I really like genre films, like fun stuff to just have a good time with, especially in the horror genre. But I think it can be so much more thematically rich if you're really focusing on a particular person's story and a particular thing that they're struggling with. So like with Midsummer, it was the story of grief and like the breakdown of like being in a toxic relationship. That idea of like how much harder it is to grieve when you not only don't have a support system, but you have one that is actively toxic to you and your own mental health, right? And then you've got Train to Busan, where it's about learning to be a better person, not just to like set an example for your child, but to like be the person that your child believes you could be in the first place. And that's really great. And then for this, there's obviously a lot of like choosing to be who you are and who you want to be. And like the reason that all those worked is they focused on the protagonist and built a specific story around them and built the world and the situation they're in to fit them. You know, so like there's a way to do it. Like I would say is like you can do good writing on any budget, and it's really just about letting the creators have the freedom to do what they want. You know, we just touched on it with things like adaptations and studio oversight. Like if you just let them kind of do what they want. And the thing is too, there's so much room for that in horror because most horror is usually on a lower budget. So I think there's a lot more chance for profit and a lot less pressure. So I think sometimes like studios like don't always think to step in with these things, which is a good thing, but also at the same time they don't have as much to work off of usually. This is a really good example, Sinners, of one that got a much higher budget and was able to use it very, very effectively, not just for flashy stuff, but like to really like build the world into something really tangible and incredible, and to have an audience like really feel the world as it was happening. You know, so really it's just about like start from character, work theme through that, and you know, don't worry so much about like, you know, building a movie for everybody. Build the movie that you want to tell.
And be generous with it too, because I think with mostly Midsummer and Sinners in this cycle, like we see that in both cases where like I think Sinners does a better job of it, where you could almost call what Coogler is doing here indulgent. He's clearly making the movie he wants to make, but he's also clearly making a movie like with the audience in mind and like with this spirit of generosity. The iconic scene of this movie, like it feels like a gift, that long take juke joint scene. Like it feels like he really wanted to make it, but he also really wanted to make it for the audience.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Evan, my note responded to one of your takeaways. So,
well, I'll second Angels real quick first, because I think this was kind of something that I was thinking about for this movie specifically. I think Ryan Coogler just does a great job like writing characters with like so much love across all of his movies, especially the Michael B. Jordan characters, because he's in every one of Coogler's movies so far.
Like close friends.
Yeah.
So,
and like they work so well together too. Like, I mean, he likes working with them so much he made him twice in this movie.
Were we talking about like the theme of like people playing two characters being a huge thing like these last year or two?
It's in a lot of movies this year.
But it is
so much shit now, right?
Mm-hmm. And I was so impressed with him this time too. Like he embodies the two characters so well that like
I forget every time that it's him, both characters.
I had no idea going in, and then that shot that reveals, I was like, wait,
passing the cigarette.
Michael V. Oh man, this is gonna be such a good movie. Also, they do the universal twin rule of they color code the two of them. Like every set of twins I've ever known. I think many of them do red and blue also.
Yeah.
Which, thank God, because I couldn't tell them apart, most of those twins in real life otherwise. Yeah, so my takeaways, I had two. One of them is think about what other ideas your genre allows you to explore. So Alex talked about this a lot when we had him on for the Midsummer episode. You can advertise things as a horror movie, but you're kind of really making it about this other thing. I think it applies to all of these movies, like less so to Train to Busan, but that's still, Angel, you were talking about it a minute ago, like it's using zombies to explore selflessness and sacrifice. We've gotten into a lot of like what this movie explores with the time period and like vampire symbology. I would also like to see like that kind of leeway given to other genres. Like, I would love to see sci-fi given that kind of leeway, because I think you could do low budget, or lower budget sci-fi stuff that directors can have some freedom without risking too much of a studio's money. But it doesn't quite have that reputation like horror does as being like a pretty reliable profit. Jelani, did you want to respond to that one or the second?
I was going to say, I agree. Don't get locked into a genre. I don't think all of these at their core are horror, and that's what they were marketed as. But I think they all say, like you guys are saying, something in addition to like it being horror. Like, I think they fit in a couple of different genres. This can be viewed as a drama. This can be viewed as, I don't know, a musical.
Yeah, I've seen some people say that it's kind of a musical.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. I would agree.
So, same thing with Train to Busan, same thing with Midsummer especially.
I'd also kind of agree with what you were saying about the whole thing of lower budget sci-fi not being as explored as it should be. Like, there's a really good way to do that kind of thing where like the sci-fi elements themselves, like everything is kind of like peeled back a little bit. Like, you don't need spaceships and like big superhero antics and stuff for it to be like a good sci-fi. Like, I think Looper's a good example of one that like felt very grounded but had very clear sci-fi elements. Like, there's time travel to it, things like that. I was literally I have Code 8 pulled up on Wikipedia right now because I was trying to find the budget and I couldn't find it.
Is another Coherence. Primer.
Yeah.
Primer's like crazy low budget. That was made with like a toothpick.
Circle.
Yeah.
Circle, yeah.
But they don't get as much mainstream attention as I think they should. There's an art to exploring an idea like that without needing to, I don't want to say resort to like big flashy stuff, but I think in a way it's like you're using the premise for the ideas as opposed to how big and cool can this look.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a little harder to market than horror is, because like
it definitely is. Yeah,
we've kind of cracked the code on making a good horror movie trailer. I don't think we can say the same for like a high concept sci-fi movie.
Well, that's the whole thing of it, right? Because it's high concept, it can come off as inherently like a little bit artsy in a way that I don't think mainstream audiences are. I don't remember if I was talking about this to you guys, but like A24, like they are an example of a studio that like they make really weird, interesting movies, but a lot of their movies are still marketed as mainstream horror or sci-fi or drama, stuff like that. Like something that like is very marketable to a mainstream audience, but is not always reflective of what the movie actually is.
Well, especially like, horror, though. We talked about that. Like, Alex brought that up a lot.
That's where I'm remembering it from then. Yeah, like, it's a huge thing where, like, they market them as, like, very... Like, It Comes at Night is a big example. I haven't seen it, but from what I've heard, like, it's nothing like the trailer implies.
Yeah, it's a zombie-less zombie movie. Spoilers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't love it, but that was pretty much what it is.
I'm more intrigued now because I didn't think it was described like that, but that's really cool.
It's okay. I gave it like 3 out of 5.
Every time I hear it starting like as a sentence, it comes at night, it follows. Yeah, I get a bunch of other movies confused.
It's chapter 1.
There's several. You can do that with movies too. Unbroken, Unbreakable, Unstoppable, I don't know.
I think you've run out.
Yeah,
but that's like you still made. I mean, point.
there's a lot more. I don't think they're movies yet, but you could keep making them.
Underdog.
Underdog. Yeah. Captain Underpants. I'll go to my next takeaway. Be careful with sacrificing plot for other elements. I think Sinners and Midsummer both make a couple of plot missteps, or at least they break a little from narrative conventions. I think it works better here than it does with Sinners than it does in Midsummer. And my general rule for that, I think, is it's okay to do that if you're giving us something, but it's got to be a worthwhile trade-off.
Under my umbrella.
Oh, there we go.
Jelani wasn't listening that entire time. He was just trying to find another movie.
No, that's just the Rihanna song, but yeah. I had to come up with something.
Under the Tuscan Sun.
Oh, that is another one.
Okay, there you go.
Under the Silver Lake is a real one too.
Under the Silver Lake is another one.
Under the Silver Lake.
Heavily elevated by Andrew Garfield, by the way.
Yeah. Don't tell me,
Like,
because
what
I've
if
had that on a watch list. I do want to see it for him.
Yeah.
Annihilation.
Undeniable. Yeah.
Evan was making a point. Let's
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I kind of got
sorry.
through my note, but like I think it's
Yeah.
a good thing to look at, because like you could I think people have maybe not pointed out plot holes with this movie, but there's a couple things where like it does kind of end up in a place where characters are making like the horror movie dumb choice so that the plot could happen. But
Grace.
like the rest of the movie is good enough that, like, I mean, I said it with the scene with Smoke shooting up the Klansman. Does it need to be in the movie? I don't know, but I don't care because it's so good.
Yes, it does.
Like,
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it absolutely does. That scene is essential.
okay,
It's so
if it's
cathartic.
not,
The fact that you are questioning it, Evan, is giving me pause.
I like it. I like it, and I'm here to hear the
Do you?
the breakdown.
Do you?
Yes.
I hope you do.
What's your last name, Evan?
Why do I feel like that's a trap?
It's not Hogwood, is it?
No,
Is it
as far as I
Washington?
know.
Is it Washington?
No, but I know an Evan Washington. That was my friend from first grade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Favorite color, Evan?
Favorite color?
Yeah.
I like green, but I like.
You sure it's not white?
Yes. Those discs are hard to find sometimes. Actually, green is harder. But
You get with the trees and bushes.
yeah, brown is the hardest to find, though. You should not get brown discs.
Dirt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't get on discs, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Evan.
I had one. It was good, but I
Who's the
lost it a
brown
lot.
discs?
Okay.
Brown discs need to be bought to wait. No, you know what? Never mind. Never mind.
Okay. Well, I mean that's basically the end. I just think it's like sometimes we can get a little caught up as writers in like, oh, does the plot work? Does all of this like fit in like narratively satisfying ways? And I think most of the time that's a good instinct to follow. Occasionally, like I think it's a learned instinct to like, can you be indulgent and maybe break from it? And I kind of talked in Midsummer about how some of that doesn't work for me in a few places, but you can do it artfully and in a way where the audience maybe doesn't mind, or you're at least like gonna give us a nice big payoff by breaking this thing. Like if it's the only way to do it, all right, give us the cool thing.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, because we talked about that a lot with Midsummer at the end, where like the ending doesn't really work for a lot of us like fully when you really think about it, because like logistically, how does that work? Like, what does Charlie? What am I saying? What's her name?
Danny.
Danny. What does Danny's tomorrow look like? Is the whole thing, and I mean, I kind of called that out too a little bit with the logistics of like, okay, so like, what is the nature of Stack and Mary's life after this point? But it was cool because it led to an interesting discussion of like what kind of happens next. So I think what you're calling for is balance, right?
Yeah.
Like balancing the two elements. But I also think that like, you know, if the movie is cool enough and if the themes are done well enough and like that's what is emphasized and is important, I think it can still work even if people are kind of like speculating. I think the times when it really bothers most people are when the other elements of the movie also don't work.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
what
that
I mean?
that can be a problem too. Like sometimes I'll watch especially like action movies where like I'm kind of fine with John Wick. I just rewatched John Wick 4 a couple nights ago. I don't care about the story in that. The action's good enough.
Yeah.
And there are some movies I wish I could say that about, where I'm like, there's no story, but also like, okay, if your goal was to make a good action movie, you also didn't do that. So you gave me nothing.
The Gray Man for you.
Which one?
The Gray Man for you.
Oh yeah, that for sure. Yeah, I won't hate on that more. Jelani,
Yeah,
you can go
but
to your
no,
lesson if you.
I feel that
I'm
the
good.
Gray Man.
Yeah.
The only other thing I had was scare people in other ways than jump scares. Atmosphere, situations. The situation for Christian at the end of Midsummer was horrifying. I mean, just visualization. I mean, movies are a visual. What's the word? Visual medium.
Yeah.
So you can use a picture to scare the hell out of somebody
the holding back a little bit too, like the fact that we only see Remick rise up for like a split second, and then we don't like. There's no scene of him flying through the air.
Oh
all the
yeah,
time,
yeah. It would look
right?
goofy.
It would look goofy, but the fact that they held it off a lot of it, and also I was pointed out to me. I was watching the CinemaSins for it, and like that moment where he lands into the frame when he first appears, that is definitely him flying through the sky and then landing down and coming out of the sky. But they only show the drop. They don't show like him soaring through the air like Superman.
Somebody
Awesome.
take me.
I think to build on your point too with this, like I don't think
He
the
ignored it again.
scares. Ignore the what?
What? I'm just telling Angel he ignored the karaoke again. Go ahead.
Oh, I did.
He did. Racially
But-
motivated. What? Come on,
Okay.
Evan. It's 2026. Get with the times.
So I have to let him sing the whole song to not be racist.
I don't know all the words.
As a brown disc, I am offended.
I knew I wasn't gonna be able to win.
Evan's turning the color of his background, bro.
I'm blending in so much. I can see myself. I do agree. I do agree with.
Evan, do you find racism funny?
No comment. Are we keeping all of this in?
I don't know yet.
I don't know. I don't know.
I guess it's really.
Brown disc.
I guess I'll
to
come
cut
out
the
looking the
brown
worst
disc.
if we do. So,
I was gonna tell you to cut the brown disc, but
but now it's a payoff.
callback, so
Now there's a
I don't
payoff for it, so I can't. Okay. I gotta give that a sec. My head hurts from laughing there. I agree with your point about not relying on... I kind of believe that anyway, about not relying on jump scares. But for Sinners specifically, and Midsummer, I feel like Train to Busan has good, like, jump scare adjacent stuff. Like, it's at least exciting, and they do it artfully. But for the other two, like, I was talking to somebody else before we recorded the Midsummer episode. It just kind of came up, and they were like, oh man, scariest part of the movie is the beginning, when the family dies. Like, that's the scariest thing. And I think we kind of echoed that on the episode. And I think the scary, like, the more, like, horror images of this movie, like the blood and the, like, pointy teeth and whatever, like, you might find it upsetting if you're not, like, you don't have much of a stomach for blood. But I don't think it's as scary as just the idea of assimilating and, like, kind of losing autonomy like that. Like, when Remick says, like, oh, I want your music, Sammy. Like, that, just him saying that, I think is scarier than any image in the movie.
Or whenever he says Sammy.
Yeah.
Sammy.
Sammy.
Yeah.
And his suspenders. Scary suspenders.
Other little moments, like the guy getting murdered and Bo is just telling Grace to get in the car. Really good acting, by the way. It's crazy.
Yeah. There are some great, like, I feel like all the funniest moments come at those, like, doorstep scenes. Like, I think one of my favorite shots is when the three vampires, well, at the time there's only three of them, and they're doing the, like, song and the dance, and you cut back to, like, the people in the juke joint, and half of them are just kind of like, what? And then Stack's kind of like, this is alright. He's like, okay, this is kind of good. Like,
Stack's the fun one. He's like,
Oh, another one of my favorite scenes was Delta Slim telling Sammy to check on Stack. He was like, go in there. He's in there. He said, oh, he busy, huh?
Yeah. My theater had such a big reaction when Stack puts his ear to the door. He's like, found that button. My theater had, like, such a big, like...
Oh, and then the spit in the mouth thing. This movie's also very horny.
Just like...
very horny.
Half of the Letterboxd reviews are just like, Jesus Christ, this movie is horny.
It really, yeah.
I mean,
Stack's into it.
I don't mind it.
They're a fan of ice cream in this movie, we can say.
Yeah.
If you know, you know, I guess.
Yes.
And if you don't know, then why are you listening to this whole episode?
Yeah, go watch the movie.
Yeah.
What are you doing here? Leave.
Anyway, is that it?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good on my notes. Okay. Boilerplate.
Yep. We'll boil it. So our next 2 episodes, we're going to do Wake Up Dead Man, my favorite of 2025. And then The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey. We'll be doing that. Our logo is by Kelsey Hendry. Thank you to our patrons. And check out what we have on Patreon. We've got tangent episodes, watch-alongs, bonus episodes. And you can follow our video essay YouTube channel. I've got a decent-sized one cooking. I don't know how long it'll be. And follow us on all the socials. We're on Instagram, Blue Sky at INT Analysis Pod. I'm on Blue Sky, Instagram, and Letterboxd at Ev_Wes. And where are you guys?
I'm on Instagram at Jelani T. Kelly, where you can see the full beauty of my smoke outfit that I wore for Halloween. That's it, I guess. I mean, I'm on TikTok. But I post whatever's on TikTok to my Instagram too. So I don't really want to promote TikTok at all. So just Instagram. I'm gonna get a letterbox soon because they're trying to force me to.
Hey, we got him!
We've been telling you to do it for months. Just do it.
Yeah, that's soon, sometime this year.
Nice.
Quit smoking, and make a letterbox.
No.
Do both those things. Both good for your soul and your lungs.
Yeah.
Letterbox is great for your lungs. I forgot to mention, though, we are now on TikTok, too. Angel, what's our handle?
Yes, we are now on TikTok. We're cool. We're hip. We're wow.
We're Gen Z.
That's almost a Spider-Man 3 reference, but I misquoted it.
And how?
Yeah, and how.
That was my part.
Yeah, so it is the same as our Instagram, INT Analysis Pod. There's nothing on there yet as of recording, but there will be by the time the episode comes out, I think. So, cool stuff. Yeah, I don't know what we're going to do with it yet, but I want to do some cool, exciting stuff for you guys, so we'll see.
We got some reels and shorts on there.
Yeah, exactly. Go to TikTok and look at our TikTok.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
so...
and my stuff.
Oh
too.
right, yes.
I also have social media, but Evan forgets sometimes.
I do forget sometimes.
I'm on Serenity Cinema. It's the race thing. It's fine. I'm kidding, audience. It's not fine. Evan is a bigot. Anyway. Monstrosity. Anyway,
I haven't checked so many times this episode.
It's okay. We're here.
I think we might have
to
ended
make
racism
sure,
with the amount of
We're
time.
here to make sure that Evan's racism specifically stops. Anyway, I am on Instagram at angelmichele.film, and I am on Letterboxd at Serenity Cinema. You can find both there. I keep saying I'm going to post more long reviews. I haven't done it yet, but I should. I'm also thinking about making a film TikTok, but I have to learn how to use our TikTok first before I do, because as much as I say I'm hip, I'm not, and I don't know how TikTok works yet, so we'll see.
We're elder Gen Z. We don't do TikTok.
Yeah,
I am so old. I'm older.
Yeah.
I'm older than the vampires in this movie. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm the oldest one here, actually.
Anyway, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.